my husband gave another woman $20,000. This was $500,000. I'm getting secondhand embarrassment from this. Hello babes, how are you? My name is Moran. Welcome to my series Getting Personal, where I gather different stories from Reddit. Today, I've gathered for you a whole bunch of stories that have to do with money issues, or at least they are such on the surface. Let's start off strong this time, diving right into the depths of it. My husband gave another woman $20,000. I, 29 female, have been married to my husband, 31 male, for 5 years and we have no kids. I just need advice. My husband has had a female friend since we started dating and it has never bothered me. Like, live your life, who am I to say anything? This female friend, however, is a pole instructor and the photos are a lot. Anyway, her studio she worked at went up for sale and she reached out to my husband for money to buy it from the current owner. My husband mentioned this to me and that it would be $7,000. I told him it wasn't a good idea and he didn't say anything else. The following night it got brought up again and I held my position on it. Fast forward a month and this female asks me what a good name for her new studio would be. I immediately ask my husband if he sent her $7,000 and he says no, I sent $20,000 from the joint bank account that I never check. He says he wanted to do it right and it's a tax write-off. Obviously I'm angry and I ask her if he's on the business license, which she tells me no, and that she never intended to put him on the license. So not a tax write-off. She noticed I was upset and said she's sending $15,000 back. I can't understand why my husband is sending $20,000 to another female without ever mentioning it to me, and I've been furious ever since. Now I have trust issues. I've never checked his phone, but I did tonight. The girl messaged that she wishes I had never found out, and she filed for the LLC, and she thought she'd have that extra $15K cushion, and she is upset now. And all this with the undertone of I've ruined her plan. He provided no defense on my part. Did I really need to include that if you've made it this far? What am I supposed to do with this situation? The answer has never been clearer to me than in this case: divorce. If anything was ever so crystal clear, so absolutely obvious, it's this. This is divorce worthy because without asking you, he took $20,000 from your joint bank account to give to a woman for her business, and worse than that, he asked you, you said that's not a good idea, and he still went and gave her 3 times more money? What the is happening in here? Either he's really dumb and really kind and pliable, or this is cheating. She has the audacity to go to him and complain that you're inconveniencing her and you've ruined her plan. Excuse me, miss, this is someone else's husband you took a load of money from and you don't even feel weird about it. How do you even... I can't comprehend that. I would be packing my husband to send to this woman and I would be like, here you go, this is my tax write-off because bye. What? So the top comment here is also very confused. You said no to giving her 7K, so he sent her 20K and then he hid it from you by taking it from an account you supposedly don't check. Honestly, this would be divorce worthy for me. You'd never be able to trust him with finances again. He will be sending your money and his money to other people with no plan to get it back. But even worse, who knows how much debt he could be racking up. And if you divorce, the remnants of the emptied bank accounts and the piles of debt will be split between you both. My grandma had that issue with my grandpa. When they got divorced, she got stuck with debts she didn't even know about. That is true. And we are moving on to the next story. This one is a bit lighter to, bring us back a little bit. Am I the asshole for not ordering any food so I wouldn't have to split the bill. I, 27 male, have been a part of a small friend group, around 8 people total, basically since college. For some background, 2 people from the group, Susan and Greg, are just absolute leeches. Going out for lunch? Expect them to order the most expensive on the menu, then feed you some sob story about their finances, and then dump half the bill on you. Last weekend, Dan, one of the people from the group, told me about a casual dinner. I told him how if Susan or Greg were there, I wouldn't be able to come. He tells me that they would be there, but I should just put my opinions aside and come just once. This is kind of where I might be. I agreed with him and told him I would be there. I show up and we all get to talking. Everyone began putting in their orders. Most of them spent about $40. There were only about 6 people there. When it gets to Susan and Greg, they both order expensive dishes around $200. When it was my turn to order, everyone looked at me, but I just pick up the menu and point to the $4 Miller Lite and sent the waiter away. Dan asked why I hadn't ordered anything, and all I said was that I lost my appetite. The other 2 friends got up as well to cancel their orders and just have drinks. After the main courses came out, I saw Susan and Greg picking at their food. The waiter then brings over the check. Greg then grabs the waiter and asks him to split the check 6 ways. I stand up and correct him, saying the check was to be split 3 ways. Greg looks at me confused and asks why, since we always split the bill. I reminded him that 3 of us had not eaten any food, so we would just be paying for our drinks. So basically, at the end of the night, Dan, who probably only ate around $50 worth of food, was stuck with a $146.98 check at the end. Yes, I remember the exact number. I swear I saw his jaw drop when he picked that receipt up. I slid a $10 toward the check, said goodbye everyone, and walked out. The next morning, I found my phone full of texts from Greg and Susan telling me I was an for not ordering any food and forcing them to pay more than they had accounted for. I honestly laughed because the steaks alone were more than what they had paid, but to each their own, right? I also got a lot of messages from Dan saying that I could have just not come instead of pulling that stunt and getting him stuck with an outrageous bill. Edit: at this restaurant, the bar is separate, so drinks are on a separate bill, if that makes sense. And if anyone is concerned about leaving a tip, I live in Australia. Edit 2. Hey guys, just wanted to clarify some things. 1, 90% of restaurants where I live, they don't do separate checks and might separate the bill for you if you're lucky. This post is in Australian dollars, so if you want the amounts in US dollars, you have to convert it. 2, Dan could have easily asked Greg and Susan to transfer him the money if he wanted, but he's always been about helping them through their financial hardship, even though they're just using him, and he keeps dragging me into it. I admit what I did was immature, but I'm tired of being forced to play along. It's his money, and if he wants to spend it on them, that's fine, but I'm not paying for them. Also, Dan's a really good friend of mine, albeit blind as I was just trying to get him to see what kind of people he was helping. I will admit it was a tad bit petty. Not the all, I feel like it's one of those teaching moments where you bring up the same issue over and over again and nobody's listening to you, so you kind of just demonstrated the whole situation in action by ordering just the drinks. And this is a very demonstrative story of why I don't really understand this whole thing of just splitting the bill as a group, because some people will inevitably eat more than other people, order more expensive dishes, and then you kind of end up paying more for what you haven't eaten. I suppose when it's a tight-knit group and it's a tradition and you all eat approximately the same amounts, it might be sort of easier, but this is what I think ruins this whole idea of splitting the check, because yeah, they're just using you and your friend to get better meals out of it, and also they're somehow so entitled and they don't get it to the point where they called you an asshole for not paying for their steaks. drinks. That is just precious, priceless. I would not be friends with those people. I think it's best that from now on you just meet up with Dan separately and with the other people who are not leeches, and just tell Dan that if Susan and Greg are there, y'all will not be coming anymore, because this is not a great situation and they're not good friends to you. They're just using you for food, which is, obviously upsetting. Also, the audacity to come back and be like, how dare you only pay for your drink? What? It's like you couldn't have genuinely expected that until the end of your lives, your friends will be blind to all of this and will be fine with all of this. Like, I get financial issues. Everybody faces that. And it's awesome when you have nice friends who will help you out, cover some costs, especially if you're used to go to more expensive places and now you suddenly don't have money to do that. So, you don't necessarily have the means to socialize, then yeah, it's really cool if in this period your friends help you out. But if your whole entire life is that period, then you have to do something about it. You have to find other ways or just order cheaper meals. This somehow got me a little bit worked up. Let's see the top comment before we move on. Not the is it not possible to ask the waiter for separate checks? In example, everyone gets their own check for what they ordered ahead of time. While some people think this is a little tacky, it's not anywhere near as tacky as ordering a meal that costs 5 times as much as anyone else's and expecting them to cover it. The OP goes, it's not very common in Australia. It's just usually common courtesy to just order within what everyone else is ordering so you can split the check at the end. Most restaurants refuse as well, but I get your point. Fair, or I don't know, I'm used to doing it the way that when there is a big group, one person pays and then everybody is responsible for remembering how much they ordered, counting that and sending it back to the person who paid. That's it. Like, there's no complication. It's easy in the restaurant and it's easy on the person who collects the money, and everyone else is happy. Everything is fine. So I think that might be a bit of a better idea, but of course, Greg and Susan would not like that. Moving on. Am I the for telling my wife she's not worthy of what she is asking for her push present? My wife and I have been together for 5 years. She's pregnant with our first right now. A few days ago, she sends me a TikTok video of a woman over one of those extremist podcasts talking about deserving some kind of a push present. At first, I didn't even know what that meant, but when I looked it up, it's basically a thank you gift to the woman who brought your child into the world. This concept is and still seems very strange to me. I understand seeking appreciation from your husband for what women go through during pregnancy and childbirth, but it's the materialistic part that gave me the ick. The woman on the TikTok went on and on about how it's a body for a body, which meant the man would have to get a permanent tattoo on his lower body, give her a house and the car as a gift exclusively to her. I felt that those expectations are very entitled, honestly a little vindictive, envious, permanent tattoo part, and very over the top for my taste. The decision to bring a child in the world is both partners' decision. My wife in our case is not forced to be a mom or be pregnant, as she wants to be a parent too. I simply replied to the TikTok with laughing emojis and moved on, thinking it was the end of it, and probably thought she meant to send the TikTok as a satire, like, oh, look how dumb this woman is, thinking she deserves all that. She was in the other room when I reacted to the video, so she comes to me and tells me that she doesn't expect a tattoo and a house exclusively for her, but she wants me to dip into my personal savings to get her a car exclusively for her. I looked at her, almost shocked, and began laughing. I thought my wife and I had similar views on how extremist people can be, and I was wrong. I thought she was joking, and I pressed her if she was actually serious. She got very annoyed that I thought she was joking and probably imitating the entitled year-old woman on The Real, and she flatly said that she expects a real push present. I said that her gift is the gift of parenthood and the realized outcome of a healthy baby. And materially speaking, I'll probably gift her a Mother's Day card, a day out, or some jewelry she wants, total under $700, but nothing more. I said if she really wants an extra car, it will be our car, not just hers. She pressed more and said how it isn't enough for what she will go through. She kept pushing and asked me if I think she's not worthy. I told her she's worthy as my partner and the mother of my child, but she has to be realistic and realize that none of us, individually speaking, is worthy of what she's asking for. That she has to manage her expectations because I don't see why she feels she deserves that. It came out wrong, but I didn't mean to dismiss her as a person. She isn't speaking to me and is crying, arguing about it. I heard her criticizing me to her sister on the phone, but under no circumstances would I ever consider gifting her a car. I feel bad she's hurting right now, but I don't feel bad for giving her a reality check. This is a tough one for me because on one hand, it's a bit wild that she suddenly started demanding a car when she's already pregnant. It's like, why didn't you bring it up before? Did you get influenced by a TikTok? Probably yes. And it's not a good thing to spring it on your partner like that as kind of an ultimatum because it's, never the best way of communication. But on the other hand, I don't like some phrases that these men wrote in here. So I can see how on her side it might not even be about the car anymore. It's about him so vehemently refusing. And obviously what she's demanding is very expensive. Again, we don't know their finances, but a whole car is quite a big present to want. But again, it's probably not about that anymore. It's about him basically saying she's not worthy of something so expensive, even if she gave him a child. And yes, okay, your present is a gift of motherhood. Honestly, I would rage so hard if my husband said that to me. It just sounds like you want to pick a fight with me, but that's just my point of view. I understand that for most women who go through births and make children, it is a gift of motherhood and stuff. But in the heat of a moment, in the heat of an argument, I can't imagine that was a nice thing to actually hear. I kind of missed where I was going, so let's just go straight to the point. I think in each relationship, you have to try to find a compromise. And in this situation, she clearly wants something that is out of his, means out of his understanding. He doesn't get why she wants that, why she suddenly demands that, and they have opposing views on the subject. So he could offer her maybe some type of bigger gift than a card and a day out, but smaller than a car, explaining that, honey, I don't think that this is quite a common and a normal and a reasonable thing to do with our finances. At the same time, going back to the things I didn't like about him and his phrasings, none of us, individually speaking, is worthy of what she's asking for. That is, of course, his opinion, but I do want to note here that a lot of men actually do give huge gifts to their partners, not even because they make him a baby, but because they love them. So, men can gift their beloved women whole houses, apartments, cars. It just depends on their means and whether they want to do it or not, whether they want to make their partner happy. So this kind of rubs me the wrong way because he also says that under no circumstances would I ever consider gifting her a car. But then I'm like, why not? Assuming y'all have the means for that. Why are you opposed to giving her her own car? It's not uncommon in families for the partners to have each their own car. What is this insistence on we definitely have to use it for both of us? And why are you so adamant on I would never ever consider giving you your own car? That sits just wrong with me because if she wants to and you have the means to do that, then what is the problem, kinda? I don't think that's an unreasonable ask. Of course, there are a lot of other factors. I think it's definitely not great and wrong of her to suddenly demand and spring this on you and make it a huge deal, but I also kinda am not enjoying his whole attitude thing. You know what I mean? But that's maybe my Eastern European upbringing talking, because, we have a bit of a different view on like your woman partner and how you should cherish her, and especially when she gives you a child. Yes, it's both of your choices to bring a child into the world, but you also should acknowledge how freaking hard it is on the female body and how painful and how horrid the whole experience probably is. I'm not a mother, thankfully, but from what I've seen around, it's not great. So anyway, the top comment here is, damn, I was thinking some roses or maybe a necklace with baby's birthstone. Yeah, that's also good. Depends on, once again, your situation, your attitudes and stuff like that. I mean, to be honest, if I was bringing the child into the world, I would expect a little bit more of my husband than some roses and a bit of jewelry. Like, that's just me, obviously. I'm not saying it's a right thing to do. I don't want anyone to get me wrong, but yeah, that's my whole thing. In any case, let's move on to another story, which is my 22 female girlfriend, 24 female, stole 50 cents from me. How do I bring it up? My 22 female girlfriend, 24 female, shorted me 50 cents. My feelings are hurt. How do I bring it up? So we share an Amazon account, and she accidentally ordered some books on my card. She did this while I was at her place, and when I noticed, she seemed genuinely remorseful, and I do believe it was an accident. We even had a quick laugh about it, and I totally understand how it would happen. The thing is, when she sent me the money she spent, she rounded down, shorting me just over 50 cents. Now, the money itself is really not the issue. It is, after all, just half a dollar. But I can't help but feel a little icky about it. I didn't notice till I left, but it felt disrespectful. I'm not sure why I'm taking it personally, but I know she never shorts other people, such as her dealer. I thought maybe it was a mistake, but she's had no problems sending me extra amounts for similar things in the past. I just want some advice on how to bring this up without seeming childish or petty. I'm also considering letting it go, picking my battles, as they say. But my feelings are hurt and I don't want to stew over them, especially if this becomes a recurring issue. Any tips are appreciated. Thanks for reading. There are also relevant comments from the OP that I want to read first. I haven't complained about anything to her, and I see how the post comes off as conceited. Maybe it's because I've had money stolen from me before by people I've trusted in my family that it's stressing me out like this. I just don't know how to work through that feeling and was looking for advice on how to bring that up. This seems like a ridiculous issue, but there is definitely something deeper going on with the OP's past, and she even clarified it with, she's had money stolen from her by people who she trusted, so probably like family or friends or whatever, and that can definitely stay in your head, repressed until something triggers you, like 50 cents, seemingly a non-issue, but it can definitely hurt and bring up a lot of unpleasant emotions. And I do think you could easily just bring it up to your girlfriend and tell her that, I've had money stolen from me by my close people before, and I think that this is why I got triggered about this specific issue. I hope you understand it's not about you, it's not about the money, it's about that it makes me feel icky, and maybe we could just round up to $1, not down, if you don't mind. I don't see how it would ruin a relationship. People were yelling at this woman in the comments, and this is reposted to Reddit on Wiki, and so I don't really have the top comment, but I don't think it's like a critical issue. It also seemed absolutely ridiculous to me when I first read it, but then, I kind of thought about it for a minute and I was like, yeah, that makes sense, especially if you had something unpleasant going on in your past. So you would notice that, and if that actually bothers you, it's better to just bring it up non-confrontationally, explain your position, and hopefully if your girlfriend loves you, cherishes you, she will understand and you will not have this problem in the future. So problem solved. Anyway, let's see the next story, which is, am I the asshole for being rude with the wine I brought to a dinner party? I, 18 male, started university this past week, and yesterday I went over to a new classmate's, Aaron, 20 male, house for dinner. Basically, we're grouped together in class for the semester, and Aaron planned this dinner so we can all get to know each other. It was a potluck, and I was asked to bring wine as my contribution. One of the girls in our group, Brianna, 18/19 female, not sure, said that she loves red wine. There were going to be 6 of us at the dinner, 5 classmates plus Aaron's roommate, so 4 guys and 2 girls. It was my first dinner party without family, but my mom helped me choose some wine to bring. I ended up bringing 2 bottles of wine, $20 each. It was more expensive than I had bought before, but I wanted to bring something good for this group. FYI, I am in Canada where it is legal to buy alcohol at 18. When I got to the dinner, I gave Aaron the wine and he was very complimentary of my choices. But when the dinner started, he didn't put the bottles on the table. Instead, he had poured both bottles of wine into glass wine containers. I didn't understand why, because I usually just pour wine from the bottles. Well, when dinner started, everyone was talking about the food and someone asked me what I brought. Aaron said immediately that I brought the wine and everyone said it was really good. But I felt like because they were in the glass containers, nobody could really know how good the wine was without looking at the bottle. So I went to the kitchen and got both of the empty bottles and passed them around the table. I said they were expensive, but they were on sale and said the price of each bottle. This is where the issue started. When the bottles got to Aaron, he stood up to bring them back to the kitchen. But not everyone had seen them yet, so I said to keep passing them around because Brianna hadn't seen the bottles yet. I said that because Aaron put the wine in the containers, nobody knew how good the wine I brought was, and that he shouldn't have put the wine in the containers without asking me about it first. I felt like it wasn't fair. Aaron said that all the food was put onto serving plates and nobody knows or cares about the cost of the food items. He said that because I brought such good wine, it was proper to put it into a wine container to let it air, and I was an asshole and trying to rub in everyone's face the cost of the wine. But I wasn't. I only wanted people to know that it was good wine and not cheap wine, and when you put the wine in the containers, nobody can tell. I only said the cost of the wine because I wanted to point out that I got it on sale. Well, things cooled down, but I felt mad that I got called an and left the party after dinner. I chatted with a different friend in the group this morning and he said everyone stayed for a couple more hours and some of them also thought I was being rude and weird about the wine. Am I the asshole? Yes? You were tacky and cringy as fuck. Please don't do that at other dinner parties. Let this be your learning opportunity. This is extremely weird behavior. People can tell if the wine is good, because it tastes good, not because it's expensive. So like if you brought the wine and without knowing the price, people complimented the wine and said it was good, take the win. You did your job well. People don't need to know the exact price of wine to appreciate it. Oh man, this is cringe, but you're young, so that's fine. Hopefully you will not do this in the future because yikes. Also, please learn what a decanter is and maybe read up on why people put wine in decanters. Then you will not have this much confusion in the future, because what your friend did is actually classier than serving it from the bottle. And well, obviously passing around the bottle, I would have given you the benefit of the doubt. I would be like, okay, it's fine, it's your first time. You got overwhelmed, flabbergasted, you didn't know any better. But then, like, he stopped him and he was like, no, keep going, because Brianna hadn't seen the bottle yet. And I'm like, just stop. I'm getting secondhand embarrassment from this. And let's just see the top comment here. You're the but I'll be gentle since it was your first dinner party. Decanting good red wine is the best way to serve it since the wine needs to breathe and the sediment needs to settle. I know you were proud of your choices and pleased that others praised the wine, but in the future just say thank you, and if someone asks, tell them the name of the wine, and you can even share that you got it at a good price. If they want to see the bottle, wait until dinner is finished and show it to them in the kitchen. Now you know and can conduct yourself appropriately at the future dinner parties. Please take that advice and apply it to your future endeavors. Also, I feel like it's good to note here that generally it's not a great idea to say what something costs and like brag about it unless you were asked, because that comes off as arrogant, tacky, and generally just yikesy. I hate when people do that, you know? And they're like, oh yes, this was $500,000. Thank you. Thank you, darling. I just asked you to pass me the butter. I did not want to know, okay? So let's move on to the next story. Am I asshole for telling my wife's friends I make more money than her? I, 25 male, am married to my wife, Sasha, 28 female. She comes from a pretty wealthy background, while I decidedly do not. My dad left before I was born, and my mom died when I was 11. I've mostly gotten over it as much as one can get over something like that. However, I'm still sensitive on any so-called jokes on that. I graduated summa cum laude and went straight into investment banking. I met my wife when I was 23 and fresh into it, but after 3 years, I earned pretty well. My wife is a lawyer. Now, I love my wife and she loves me, obviously, but her family hates me. Like from the depths of their souls hates me. I've been called a gold digger, a lowlife, and a few more vague insults on my table manners. I went to a party with her the other day, one of those fancy schmancy things where everyone drinks champagne and complains about this, that, and the other, talking about, oh, we spent so much money on renovations. Gasp. And I got the usual mild comments from my wife's family and close friends on where my wife picked me up from. Lacey, I don't think, knew about my family history before. We were talking about dads, don't ask me why, and I got a question on what my dad did. I said I didn't know, never met the guy. Lacey made this kind of exaggerated gasp and went, oh, well, we all know why you're with her then, don't we? I acted all confused and she got flustered and just kept going with, well, you know. My wife tried to move the conversation along, but by this point, I wasn't letting it go. I kept pushing and pushing until Lacey finally said, well, you two don't exactly have the same finances, do you? And I then responded with, you're right, I make quite some more. Lacey by this point was too embarrassed to keep going. I'd kind of ruined the vibe, but the night continued. This isn't the kind of event you walk away from. We went home, which was when she genuinely went down. She told me it was crazy of me to keep pushing on that point and turn one comment into one of the most embarrassing moments of her life, and now everyone in her circle must think she's some kind of failure to earn so much less than her husband, and I'd ruined everything. But it's not like I lied. I'm just tired of being treated like in her circle. My wife is upset though, and I do care about her, so I need to know, am I the absolutely freaking not? Enough is enough. Like, you can stand so much weirdness and so much snobbery, but something has to give, and you have to put a stop to it if your wife refuses to do so, because my main question in here is, why is your wife allowing her family to speak to you and about you this way? And this whole like pearl clutching looks ridiculous, okay? Because who are these people? And where did they lose their manners? Did they sell them for like $2 million? Because I don't understand. She has to somehow tell them to stop with this bull. And knowing that you earn more than her, she still like allows them to speak to you and about you like you're some kind of a kept man or something like that. But even then, it's not about the earnings, it's about the attitude, it's about the disrespect. This viciousness is just horrid. So no, not and it upsets me very much that your wife didn't even think to stand up for you, and then she also got mad when you finally stood up for yourself. This is not a great partnership moment. The top comment here is interesting. They quote, "Now everyone in her circle must think she's some kind of failure to earn so much less than her husband. But she was perfectly fine letting everyone in her life think you were a failure that lives off her. She's also apparently perfectly fine letting them mock or insult you, the men she allegedly loves. Why is her image more important than your dignity and the respect for your marriage? A person can earn less than their wealthy partner and still be with them out of love, and she is allowing for that to be questioned. Not the both her and her circle sound vain, materialistic, and classist, and I'm afraid those traits are going to be hard to change." Agree on everything. Yeah, it's very, very upsetting that she kind of is very hypocritical over this. Also, it kind of confuses me. These people sound like very, kind of traditionalist, snobby, typical rich white people. So why would they think you're a failure if you earn less than your man? Because, usually it's thought that you're doing great if your man earns super well. So I would think it was a point of pride, but maybe the logic is here that, he's a lowlife and yikes, he earns more than you. I don't know, it's ridiculous. And we're moving to the next story, which is, am I the for forcing my son to give me half of his income? I won the lottery, $1,000 a day for life. I'm 58, my son is 19. I went to him and told him that I wanted to make a deal. I would give him the ticket. In return, he would give me half of the money until I die. Then he gets all the money. He said he needed to think about it. He came back and said it wasn't really fair for me to want half. He said that I could live another 40 years, that he might need the money more, and that I should take 20%. I said I would think about it. I signed the ticket and claimed the lump sum. I'm seeing a lawyer to set my son up for life. His education will be paid for. When he gets older, he will be able to purchase a home for free, basically. A trust fund will be set up so he gets a good amount of money for the rest of his life. Now he's pissed that I went back on my offer. I thought I was being smart, but I didn't realize how greedy he was. He also told my ex about the money, and she is pissed that I'm not giving her anything. We have been divorced for years. I owe her nothing. No, I won't give you anything if you ask. There is a reason I'm using a throwaway. Wow. Just wow. This is the only thing I really have to say on this story, because no, not the you proposed a very, very generous idea for your son, and he thought that was a bad deal? I am so sorry you ended up with a son like that. I can't imagine how horrible it feels to realize that your child is a douchebag at best. I have some other choice words for him, but yikes. I'm very glad that you decided to claim this sum for yourself so you have control over the money. Do with it what you will. It's still super nice of you to set him up for life. Frankly, more than what he deserves after what he said to you. Like, you could live another 40 years. It's like, die faster so I can get more money. What the and let the son bite his elbows until the end of days for what a great opportunity he missed. Also, you seem to be like a great parent who actually wants to take care of their child. It's nice. You did well. Your son is kind of awful, but let's move on to the next and last story. I also left the best for last. Am I the for telling my fiancé I don't want my Temu engagement ring. My 27 female fiancé, 29 male, proposed to me a few weeks ago. It caught me completely by surprise, but we've been together for 3 years and things have been going great. So I was really excited and said yes. I really liked the ring when I first saw it, and my friends and family all think it is stunning. It's an oval cut with diamonds across the band. I asked where he got it and he wouldn't tell me where, but that he got a great deal on it. I didn't think anything of it until yesterday. We were in bed and I asked him if it was a diamond or a moissanite, mainly out of curiosity. I don't have a preference, by the way. He said he didn't know and would have to look it up. When I glanced over at his phone, he was on the Temu app. Temu, by the way, is a Chinese cheap stuff marketplace. I didn't know that, so I had to look it up. So there. I asked him if he got it from there and he didn't respond. So I asked again and he responded with something like, "Does it matter?" and left the room and ended up sleeping on the couch. I spent all night so confused. Today, I decided to download the app and look up my ring, and I found one that looks identical. I found the exact ring and it is listed at $38. I am mad. He makes good money, $200,000 per year, and I feel like he could have shelled out some money for a ring better than one on Temu. Am I asshole for telling him I don't want it? No, you're not. I would leave him, honestly. I'm flabbergasted. Again, Eastern European here. That ring would have ended up of his. It's not about the money, okay? I would be of a very different opinion if they both were like students, freshman students at college. They were poor and in debt. And then he proposed to her with a $38 ring. Like, that is cool, okay? That is fine. That is equal to your means, proportional to them. That's fine. But this Mian earns $200K and he bought her an engagement ring that is basically the price of like 3 coffees or something. What the hell is this? It's about how much she's like worth to you. It's about how much you appreciate her. You want to make this woman yours, your partner, your everything for the rest of your life, and you don't even appreciate her enough to get her a good quality ring. It doesn't have to be like a $20,000 ring, okay? It just had to be a good quality, picked thoughtfully and with more care and effort than a cheap Chinese ring. That doesn't even sound like it's silver. I mean, silver is quite cheap, but still, like, ew. Do you want that ring to like fall apart, to go black after, I don't know, 2 months? Because cheap rings do that. People also have allergies to cheap metals, so that's a concern. And if there is a cheap stone in a cheap ring, it will likely fall out real fast. So you just gave your woman a ring that is supposed to be on her finger constantly for years, and it's basically math is not mathing for me. I'm sorry. The sheer disrespect enrages me. Okay, we have some comments and thoughts compiled here from the OP. She says, "I'm not mad that the diamonds are not real, but I worry about the quality of the ring because I imagined my engagement ring to be at least sturdy. It's fine for now, but I have a hard time believing it will last longer than a year if it's $38 on Temu." Someone asks if he's cheap with other things, and she says, "Really, he's never been overly frugal. I'm probably more frugal than he is. Neither of us are huge spenders, but we each make enough to not have to strictly budget or anything. We have our own accounts and split rent equally. I know he has at least 100K across his savings/investment accounts. We go out for drinks a few times a week and we'll go to concerts together and whatnot frequently. We travel a few times a year and stay in basic accommodations. Oh, like our DoorDash the other night was $40. My ring costs less than DoorDashing dinner. Facts. Say no more. This is terrible. Someone went, "You are not but what we all really want to know is whether or not you would still marry him if he replaces the ring. She goes, the responses to this have made me even more confused. People saying it could be a loyalty test, that he doesn't want me to be able to sell it if we divorce, or that he doesn't plan to be with me for long. I have a pit in my stomach. I haven't considered breaking things off, but that was before I wrote this here. I was thinking maybe he was just not thinking or rushed getting the ring, or maybe he genuinely thought he was getting a great deal on a high quality ring. I'm not sure at this point. I plan to confront him when he gets back from work in a couple hours. Yeah, awesome deal. There is no deal that awesome to get a good ring for $38. I'm sorry. Anyway, the ring itself. The response to this is just absolutely insane. Sorry, I'm having a hard time keeping up with responses. A few of y'all wanted to see the ring, so here it is if you want to look it up. I'm still waiting for him to get home. I will put this on the screen if I find it. I guess it technically is moissanite. And then we have an update 6 hours later. After reading responses from my first post on the AITA subreddit, it got taken down. I was freaking out a bit. He came home while I was FaceTiming a friend about this. I hung up with her and then talked to him for an hour or so. He apologized for sleeping on the couch and that he needed time to think. He doesn't see eye to eye with me on my concerns about the ring and says he did research and that it was highly rated. He says if the ring breaks, he will replace it, but didn't say it would be higher quality. I have people messaging me that the ring would be harmful to my health and that Temu has horrible standards for their jewelry and labor issues, so now I really don't want to wear it. He left and went to his brother's house. Usually I'd go with him, but things are just tense. Am I the for telling him I still don't want it? No, you're not. I am confused as to why he's all like, I need to think about this and I need to leave to go to my brother's house. What the you messed up. She should be storming off. She should be mad. He's not even allowing her to be mad. Unless he is neurodivergent, and I mean like seriously neurodivergent, he has zero excuse for not getting it. Like absolutely zero. I don't want to be mean, but I feel like anything I might say will be mean because I don't get it. This is horrid. I would have left him. Anyway, more comments. She still goes on to say that she's worried that it will break or tarnish and the truth would inevitably come out, and it changed completely how she feels about the ring, even if it's aesthetically not bad looking. And then we have again that he's not usually cheap or thoughtless. And then I think an important comment is that I want to clear up those gold digger rumors because this isn't only about the cost of the ring. I only mention these things for context, not because I feel he owes me something in return. When I met him, I was making just over 100K and he was working part-time and doing an internship, bringing in significantly less than me. He totaled his car early in our relationship, and I happily drove him to work every morning on the way to my work when he didn't have a car. When his mom got sick and went to hospice, I immediately canceled all of my travel plans and holiday plans with my family and sat with him visiting her every day for months. I helped with funeral arrangements. I helped plan his brother's wedding. I even loaned him money for a new car once he started his new job. He did pay me back, by the way. He moved in with me recently, and most everything in the home is mine that I paid for prior to the relationship. Furniture, etc. I have paid for so many plane tickets for our travels, concert tickets, etc. that I've never asked him to pay back and never will. That's what a relationship is. I genuinely care for him. He has done similar gestures for me and is more than willing to spend money on dates. Believe it or not, I'm not this greedy woman sitting here excited to get his money. I have my own. We never went ring shopping. The proposal was a surprise to me. We'd casually discussed getting married in the future for the past year or so, but he never asked my taste in rings, so I was kind of thinking that would happen before the engagement. I actually like the style of the ring, but now that I know it's from Temu, I cannot look at it the same way. I completely get it. Makes perfect sense. And we have 4 hours later, mini update. I'm literally just sitting here refreshing your comments, trying to figure out what to do next. He texted to let me know he plans at staying at his brother's for the weekend and is taking Friday off. It's not crazy abnormal since he's been watching football over there, but I feel like he's avoiding me now. I'm trying not to be pushy about the situation and I'll give him some space, but now I'm just in my head about all of it and regretting my initial reaction. It's just a dumb ring and maybe I've read into it too much. The only other time we've had an argument like this, it was resolved within a couple hours, so I'm not used to this behavior from him. Update 2. Before I read it, I just really want to say that the ring seems to be a minor issue compared to the fact that y'all don't seem to be able to communicate whatsoever. You've had like only one argument before that like this, and it was quickly resolved, and now you're confused about his behavior. He seems like kind of an avoidant type because he just left. He's like, nah, I'm not gonna fight. I'm just gonna ignore until the problem goes away or you change your mind and apologize. Y'all don't know how to talk, and also you very quickly like give in because you're like, maybe I overreacted. No, you haven't. No, you have not. Stand your ground because he is in the wrong in here. Yes, maybe he didn't think. Yes, maybe he just up because again didn't think, but this is still a problem and it's not getting resolved, and you have to like explain to him why it's a problem. He has to understand, because otherwise you will just keep encountering same problems in the future, not exactly about engagement rings but about other stuff. So the last second update. He came home this morning while I was in a work meeting. These comments made my head spin all night. I got like 3 hours of sleep, so I admit I may be in the wrong for bringing up his finances, but I did. I asked him what was going on, if there was anything he needed to tell me, if he was testing me by doing this. Well, that really set him off. What kind of person do you think I am? You think I'm a cheapskate? A liar? You obviously think really poorly of me, but still he never gave me a reason. So I asked why he was deflecting every question to victimize himself and to avoid my questions. He tried to leave again. So I tried de-escalating and told him I see where he's coming from, but I need to know if he still loves me. He was immediately apologetic and still wants to get married. He said I can just pick my ring out and buy it with my own money. He said he's sick of talking about this and it's water under the bridge now. He's acting like his normal self again since this conversation. I hear him out there skipping around and humming to himself all happily, and it's actually pissing me off. Maybe I'm being dramatic, but I don't think I can handle a marriage with someone like this. Nor should you. This man sounds toxic because he basically manipulated and forced you into going back, into accepting his side. He's like, oh, you can buy your own ring now, whatever. I'm not gonna fix my wrong and I'm not gonna apologize. I'm not gonna explain myself. I'm just gonna ignore this and you have to deal with it. And you see now, as soon as he kind of put this in place, the world is bright and perfect as before. He's all like skipping around because he won. He won. He got exactly what he wanted. He doesn't give a shit what you feel. And that's the biggest problem. And you should not marry a person like that. This is terrible. I'm really sorry that you have to like go through it with a person like that and with your fiance when you just got engaged. But in a way, it's good because at least you found this out about him and like what type of person he is and had this opportunity before y'all got married, because you know it's way more difficult to leave after. I really want another update. I really want her to go like, I broke up with him. Unfortunately, there isn't. But I hope you left him anyway, because yes, it started with a ring, but it definitely wasn't about the ring by the end. And run. So we started with divorce and we are ending with run to avoid the divorce. Thank you so much for watching. If you're still here, though I doubt it, let me know in the comments what you thought about these stories, and I will see you with another video at some point in the future. Bye!